Hey guys, welcome back for another nail polish review. I've been gone a little bit, so I'm sorry. I've been super busy in my personal life, and I'm excited this week to jump back in and do a lot of nail polish swatching and get these reviews out for you guys. So you can hopefully figure out what nail polishes you want to get for Christmas this year or gift to somebody this year. So today I'm excited to talk to you about the Ella Mila Sweater Weather Collection. I really like the Ella Mila brand. They're an eco-friendly luxury brand, and I really enjoy their polishes. I like their formula a lot, and I feel like they last long on my nails. I like their brush. It is a little bit shorter and stubby, so it does take a little adjusting because it's slightly different from like mainstream, but the brush is really nicely shaped and it applies really well, especially polishes that are sheer. I feel like it does a good job covering with those, which is really important with those sheer polishes. They sent this to me and I'm so appreciative. This is such a gorgeous collection. Polishes that I love that are perfect for fall and winter. They're all kind of muted and grayed out tones. A lot of them are slightly different from polishes that I have in my collection that seem pretty typical in that color range, so I was super excited about that. So I'm excited to share them with you. I'll have a link down below to the polishes in case you want to pick any up, but I absolutely love this collection. So before we get into the polishes, I'm going to talk about what I have on. I saw a girl at the airport with a cute black and red gingham shirt and a red hoodie underneath, and I was like, that's so cute. I'm gonna do that too. So I found this off Pac Sun. This I think was LL Bean, so I'll link those down below. And then on my lips, I was feeling a little festive. I usually do around this time of year, and I wanted something that was just a little pop of red. That's about all I can handle. I mean, for videos and stuff, I like to wear a bright red, but I don't typically go out in bright red, but I just always kind of crave red this time of year, and this lip glow is perfect for that. This is actually in the shade Strawberry. I have another one that I think is maybe Cherry, but I pulled out the Strawberry today. It's a little bit cooler, and it just gives you the hintest bit of pink, and it moisturizes your lips. These are a little bit more expensive, but I think if you get like one of them and just use it a lot, it's definitely worth it instead of buying a bunch of lipsticks and not using them a lot. So I try to get like one or two, and then I just really keep them in my car and try to use them a lot. And I especially like having the balm in these fall and winter months when my lips tend to dry out. So love this so much. Okay, let's get into the review. We're going to start off with Glass Slippers, and this is a really nice pearly shade. And the thing I like about this one is kind of a clean, crisp white. It is slightly off-white, but compared to other ones that I have, this one is a little bit brighter. And another thing that I really appreciate about it is it goes on really nicely and smooth, and it builds up pretty good. So it's so close to 2 coats, but I feel like I really wanted to do 3 coats with this one. Now, do I tend to wear these kind of polishes? I don't, but if you love a pearly white, this one's for you. It's really nice, and like I mentioned before, what I really like about it is how clean it is, just a little bit more crisp. But if you do like pearly shades, I feel like this is such a good time to wear them, especially around the holidays, because it definitely gives a little pop on your nail. Okay, so let's look at the comparisons that I have for this one. I don't have a ton of pearly polishes, so I just pulled out the ones that I had from mainstream brands to compare, but they're all pretty different, but it'll give you a good idea of what this polish is like. So I compared it to OPI Dancing Keeps Me on My Toes, and that one's more of like a soft pearly shade with a little bit of glitter. That one is kind of whiter too, just like Glass Slippers. And then Essie Sheer Luck looks kind of pearly, but it's actually kind of a clear shimmery shade, and that one's quite sheer compared to this one. And then Olive and June Girl with the Pearl nail polish is more warm, and it does have a slight iridescence to it, but you can see it's not quite as a bright white crisp shade that Glass Slippers is. If you love pearl nail polishes, I thought this one applied really well, and you'll probably really enjoy this one. And then I love a good taupe color, and this one's called Traveler. It's a gorgeous taupey shade that's grayed out. It maybe has like the slightest hint of purple, so it is a little bit cooler toned instead of warmer toned brown. That's what makes taupe basically. But I really enjoyed this one, and the formula is so nice. I feel like this Ella Mila formula is very glossy, and it applies very nicely and builds up perfectly in 2 coats. So this one was really, really nice, and I really liked the brush with this kind of glossy formula. It just goes together so nicely. Is it super original? I'm not sure, but if you love the Ella Mila brand, then you're going to know you're getting one that's kind of similar to others we've seen in other brands. So let's take a look at those. So I compared it to Easily Suede from Essie, and that's maybe a touch darker, but it's very close. Icelanded, a bottle of OPI, is a little more brown. So these are a little bit different, but they are pretty close. And then Topless Beach, I wanted you to see that it's a little lighter and a little bit cooler toned, and that's the biggest difference there. But I'm really liking the warmer tones this year, where typically I go for the cooler tones. So I really think I'm going to pull this one out, especially as we get into January and I'm kind of tired of wearing the bright colors. I like to put on a polish that's going to cleanse that palette a little bit and take us back down to some neutrals. So I'll probably be pulling this one out at that time when it's still chilly outside. And I think I like the warmer ones this year a little bit more, is because I feel like my skin tone is cooling down a little bit, and I just want to bring a little bit of warmth back into it, and these warmer tones do that for me. So loving this one a lot. Then we have Mauve Over. You guys, this polish is so stunning. It's a moody purple. It has just a hint of gray in it, but it still has a brightness to it. The formula is fantastic. It's so close to 1 coat, but I feel more comfortable doing 2 coats, and it applied very nicely. And the thing I like about this one is I felt like I had a really hard time finding anything that was exactly like this. It was a little bit more purple. It was a little bit more gray. It has a little bit of brightness to it. I don't know how to explain it, but hopefully looking at these comparisons, you'll be able to see the difference there. And so I compared it to Madame Weizen, and that is from my friend Alex. I'll put her handle right here. She brought that to me when we went to New York with Essie several years ago, and I'm so grateful for that. And so that I felt like was the closest. It's a little lighter and a little more gray. I haven't talked about that one a lot just because you can't really get it here in the US, but I wanted to pull that in because I feel like it was kind of the closest that I had. And then I compared it to Essie Just Chill, and that one's a little bright and more purple, and that one's also only available in the UK. And then OPI Galleria Vittorio Violet has a hint of blue, but it's close to, and so couldn't really find anything exact to this. I might go back and just double check again, and if I do find anything, I'll put another comparison here, but I feel like this one's quite unique and I really love it, especially for this time of year. It kind of did remind me of a polish that I just wore that's my favorite. Let me pull that out because I just wore that, so it might not be where I looked. So yeah, so I pulled out some more OPI shades so you could see, and this one was in a different spot because I just recently wore it, but you can see it is kind of close, but this one has just a little bit more purple. This is Audio Good Nails Chow. Audio Bad Nails Chow Great Nails, and as you can see, it's a little bit more grayed out, and this one actually has some kind of interesting non-shiny shimmer in there, but this one has just a little bit more purple, so that probably is the closest, but it's a little bit brighter and a little more cheery, whereas this one's a little bit more moody, but it's not quite as cheery as these two here. As you can see, it's more grayed out. This is Skate to the Party, and this is Nails of Paradise, and so it's a little bit more muted, but still slightly bright, and so that's where I was having a really hard time finding something exactly close to this, and so it makes sense why I love this one so much, because I love this one. I pull it out every year since it came out, but this one has just a little bit more purple, and it's a little brighter, yet still muted. So if you get anything from this collection, I would get this one. It is just stunning, and it's my new favorite fall purple. I just love it. Next up is Mediterranean Mist, and I love to wear teal in the fall and winter. I think it's the perfect time to wear those kinds of shades, and this one's really nice. It leans a little more blue than some of the other teals that I have that lean a little bit more green, so it is set apart that way. It is a little bit muted and grayed out, so it's a little bit moody, and love this one. The formula is really fantastic too. It applies so close to 1 coat, but I would say 2 coats for this one. It's really nice and glossy and consistent with the Ella and Mila formula. And let's look at the comparisons. I feel like Essie has a lot of teal shades, so let's look at those. I compared it to Me From Me, and that one's lighter, and the Perfect Cover Up is more green, and then Drama at La Scala from OPI is a hint more green too, especially in the picture, but when I was actually looking at it on the nail just under my lights before I took the picture, I felt felt like it was the closest one to Mediterranean Mist, but then in the picture it showed up quite a bit more green, which was really interesting and looked closer to the Perfect Cover-Up. So anyway, they're all pretty close. They're just slightly different, and it is a teal, but I think this one has a great formula, and I like that it leans a little bit more blue because it makes it a little bit different, and I love that it's a little bit more muted. Next up is La Vie en Rose, and not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I love this shade. Oh my goodness. I haven't worn anything like this year yet. In fact, well, I did wear this oily one called the Antidote, and this one has quite a bit more red in it, if you can see that. And so I haven't worn one that has a little bit more purple. And that's what I love about this one, because it's not quite wine, but it's not quite purple. I feel like it fits just perfectly in between those. And then it has that muted quality on top of it. It's not going to have a lot of depth and richness to it. It's going to be, I don't know, with that muted quality, it changes the look of it just a little bit. So it's a gorgeous color, and the formula is really great too. It applies so nicely. Again, 2 glossy coats, and it just goes on perfectly. I love this one too. And I feel like I need to wear this one pretty soon before I get into the reds and the Christmassy colors. Same thing, I had a hard time finding a color that was exactly the same. So I feel like they did a good job making this one a little bit different, especially with how many polishes there are that are more purpley and more wine leaning. And so let's take a little dive into those. I have 2 sets of comparisons for this one. So I compared it to Designated DJ, and that one's closer but more red, and then Olive and June Plaza is more of a raspberry red, and of course has that more kind of sheer Olive and June formula. And same thing with Essie in the Lobby that you can see there, so those are different. Going more with the purple shades, Making Harmony was the closest but a little bit smokier, so that gives you an idea of what it was kind of close to, but you can see it has a little bit more wine in it. And then Kimono Over was like a deeper purple, and then Sights on Night Lights was even more purple. And then Essie has some lighter purple shades that lean either more purple and don't have this kind of wine in it, or they lean kind of more blue. So I actually love this one too, because I feel like it is different, even though you would think it's pretty much exactly the same as all the other ones that we've seen come out in years past. This one is fantastic, and it's also one of my favorites, so I'm giving away all my favorites as we go, but such a fantastic shade. Love this one, and you should probably pick this one up too, especially if you love shades like this. And then this is London Fog. Perfect name for this perfect shade, and these are totally shades that I will wear, and this is the one that I have on my nails today. I forgot to mention that in the beginning of my video, so hopefully you stuck around to the end so you could know. But I love these kind of smoky browns, and this is a smoky brown that has a little bit of green in it as well, and I just like that because it kind of makes the polish look a little different in different lights. And it's very moody, which I love in the fall and winter. You'll hear me say that a lot. And the formula is so good on this one too. Like, same thing, close to 1 coat, but I did 2 amazing glossy coats for that great coverage, and it's just so easy to apply with that brush. I got used to the brush handle being just a little bit shorter. So this one's really great too. I do have some polishes that I pulled out that are kind of close to this, but I feel like they all had a different look in the base, and I love them. And one thing I wanted to mention too is I love these dark shades, especially as we get deeper into winter. But several months back, I filmed a video of my favorite darkest darks. Well, I pulled them all together for a video, but I haven't like filmed the review yet, but that's coming because I love those deep dark colors. And then I filmed a video of how I pick my favorites. This was months ago. I was waiting to do the darkest darks, and then I'm going to post that. So I have those 2 videos that will be coming pretty soon in the next couple weeks or so, or maybe as we get past Christmas and want something just a little fun after Christmas. So I love these deep dark shades. They've always been my favorites. Let's look at those comparisons. So I compared it to It's Top Secret, and that one's darker. That's one of my favorite browns, and it has been for a long time. And so you can see that London Fog is a little cooler and has a little more gray compared to these, especially Brown to the Earth, which is more brown. And then Front House of Glam, one of my absolute faves, is really darker and more gray. So that's quite different. This is like a smoky brown, and it lacks the purple that you would get from like Smoke and Hot, and it's definitely more brown, and then that green element just makes it even more fun. In fact, it just reminded me of this Morgan Taylor one up here. And this one's really fantastic too. This one's a little bit lighter, so it's pretty close to that. This one's just a little bit richer. So those are pretty close. So those are the two. I would say this is the closest in color tone, but not in darkness. And so if you love that Morgan Taylor one and you want something that's a little bit darker, and actually it does have a hint more brown, and this definitely has a little bit more green. In fact, when I wore this, I wanted to mention this because it looked more olive green. This is an interesting shade. It definitely looks brown in some lights and olive green in others. And so I felt like, man, this is actually really an olive green. So this is a more brown, but they have that same kind of muted quality. Love them both. Ah, so good. It's getting close to picking my favorite polish of the year, and I do that at the end of every year, so I need to go through everything and try to figure out what was my favorite release from this year. But this might be up there. Love this one a lot. So I'm going to pick my favorites. I left out the taupe and the pearly shade, but I'm going to add all of these just because I think they are, with the exception of the taupe, I just love this one because it's a little bit warmer. They're all pretty close to other polishes, but there's something that just sets them apart that's a little bit subtle and makes a big difference, at least in my opinion. And so I love them so much. We have London Fog, we have Mauve Over, Lavier, and Rose, and then the Traveler, which is the taupe. Is that right? Yep. So pretty. This is like the perfect palette for me, and with that teal too, but I feel like the teals, I don't know, I have so many teals, but I just love this palette, especially for fall or winter. So perfect little collection. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts on the brand if you've tried it out. And again, I have links down below to that if you want to purchase the set. So thanks so much for watching. We have more winter collections coming, and we will see you guys in my next review. Bye guys.